I got another recipe for our Instapot. Yes, I've called it Butt Veggie Stew because Butternut Squash Stew was just way too boring. Y'all know the drill. All the ingredients are listed at the end of the video and in the video description below. Let's get cooking. Okay, so I got a butternut squash about yay big and cut off the seedy part because I wasn't in the mood to deal with that right away, and just cut off the ends and eyeballed it. And basically, you know, I just looked at the squash. I said, yeah, that looks like it'll make about 2 cups of squash. And then I just went from there and started cubing it up. See, real fast. And I made about 1 inch, probably almost 1 inch cubes, which was perfect. Since we're gonna pressure cook this stew in the Instapot, I wanted to make sure that I got the cubes just big enough where they would be a nice bite, but they weren't too small that they'd get overcooked. And I got it right on the money. Okay, and then to that I added some minced garlic, and this is lazy night, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even bother trying to chop the garlic myself. I have minced garlic in the fridge, and I'm not afraid to use it. Okay, and then in the recipe, I say to just get a 1 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, which I did not have tonight, but I had a 28-ounce can of like whole stewed tomatoes. So I said, well, I'll just use half that can. So that's what I was doing here. I was just, you know, getting out each little stewed tomato, and I was just cutting them up until I got about halfway down the can. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. All right, and then here I have this was a can of diced tomatoes with the chipotle sauce in them, or the chipotle pepper sauce, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, and have you seen this? Bush has chili beans with kidney beans. Yeah, not, you know, normally they have the pinto beans, but now they have the kidney beans with the chili sauce, and they have black beans with the chili sauce, and they are both really good. I wish they were paying me to tell you how awesome they are, but they're not. I wish they were. All the spices that I put in this stew, 1 teaspoon of cumin. There's no salt, no pepper. That's it. I just wanted to add that cumin. And to be honest with you, that really wasn't a lot of cumin. I think I could have left that out and we wouldn't have noticed. Okay, and then I added like 1 cup of veg broth, you know, the better than bouillon veg broth. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? I wasn't in the mood to put up with the stinky onion from the beginning. Recipes always have us cutting the onion at the beginning of the recipe, and then we're spent the whole rest of the time crying and dealing with the smell of the onion. And I said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Forget it. I'm cutting my onion at the end. And that's what I did. All right, and then I put the lid on and make sure that my little pipe is set to pressure. And then I hit the manual button and I set the timer for 12 minutes. Yeah, this is a super fast supper, baby. Super fast. And then I just let it rock. There you go. Now, in the meantime, I had the whole rest of that butternut squash, right? So I don't have any plans for it right now. So I just finished cubing it up and I put it in a freezer bag, and I'm going to throw it in the freezer and then just wait for inspiration to come along, and then I'll figure out what to do with it. If you have any suggestions as to what to do with it, it's about 3 cups of butternut squash. I would appreciate any tips, any recipes, or anything that you want to share with me. That'd be good. Okay, so I let the pressure go down on its own. Actually, I forgot and got busy doing other stuff. So about 30 minutes later, after it had gone off, I remembered there's soup in the iPot. So took off the lid, and look here, totally cooked. Now, here's something else that I was thinking about. Typically, recipes always have us cooking the onion tender and translucent before we put everything else in the pot, and then we, you know, and all that jazz. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like water frying the onions. I'm going to go ahead and just throw the onions in the pot raw. And that's what I did. And they turned out to be beautifully tender and translucent on their own. So I'm not gonna water saute onions before putting everything else in the pot when I pressure cook. Forget it. I'm done. I'm just not gonna do that anymore. And look, everything's perfect. 12 minutes was perfect. The butternut squash is like fork tender. It's mushy, but it's not so long that it blew out my canned cooked beans. I love it. So I really got lucky there. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, and it was so good. Made just enough to serve it filled up about 5 bowls. That's because Charlie and I both had 2 bowls, and Max had 1 bowl, and I still had, I had just enough soup to fill up a 1 pint jar. Before I forget, you saw me put 1 can of those kidney beans in the pot, but I want you to go ahead and put 2 cans in the iPot because, well, 1, my son said there weren't enough beans, and 2, at the end, that 1 pint of soup that I had left over, it needed some more vegetables. I had a lot of broth, so I mean, it was like, if you saw the pint jar, it's like half vegetables and half broth. So go ahead and just throw in an extra can, and that'll make that last serving, you know, good and beefy or beany for the next person. Okay, don't forget to thumbs up this video and share it with your friends. And let's talk about this recipe in the comments below. Bye.